Why, hello there, and Merry Christmas to you. Actually, a very rainy Christmas where I'm here currently in the Ozarks. I know I have other friends in other places that are experiencing rain today on Christmas, but yeah, welcome to the 83rd episode of Under the Radar. I am amped to be very close to my goal, which is to hopefully finish in the next few months the first 100 episodes. Before I start to talk about today's artist, I would like to announce a couple things. One, the usual, you can get merchandise, you can get t-shirts, you can get posters, stickers, buttons, CDs, vinyl, all kinds of stuff at samswansonmusic.com. Over 50 items there that are available if you are looking for anything. I appreciate the support. Number two, I started a new business. And I haven't announced it. I haven't really done a hard launch yet, but I figure, why not just put it out there, because I'm going to be working very hard at that this year. I have gotten certified as an emotional success coach, which entails a few things, studying emotional intelligence and studying NLP and utilizing a lot of different techniques. That to be said, my sister, who was in the band Dorm Life with me, she and I are doing this venture together. I just created a website. It's embracismcoaching.com. If you are struggling with anything emotionally and you need some help, I know the holidays can be tough. I personally am a single dad and single dude who is always hustling, and half the time I get my kids, but the other half of the time it's like sort of a dichotomy, a split personality, if you will. So there are times when I have to use tools for myself when I feel just a little bit, like there's a little void there, missing people, especially around the holidays. So if you are encountering anything like that, feel free to go to embracismcoaching.com. And what you can do is you can fill out our form, and that will be basically a request with a little bit of information on your behalf so that my sister and I can get an idea of what you're dealing with, and we can give you a 30-minute free discovery session where we talk to you either on Zoom or on the phone to get a better idea of how we can help you and if we can help you. But for the most part, we're here to help get people out, get unstuck from the emotional states that they're in that are not serving them, and bring them further toward their goal, to replace the negative with the positive and to get you where you need to be. Yeah, that is the gist of what Embracism Coaching is all about for Sarah and myself. And I look forward to doing some bigger things with that and announcements with that in the future. But again, check out our website, and on to today's episode. So 3 episodes ago, I covered the alarm comp, and I was gonna share a funny story that I forgot to share. It just kind of came up while I was getting this episode prepared. So when I was doing the alarm comp, I was getting the track listing all sequenced and ready to go, and I was working at a place in downtown Chicago in the Loop. It was a place that basically took care of a lot of legal services. And I was a messenger there. So I was in charge of a lot of what you would call the runs for the messengers to deliver medical records to law firms and such like that. I also did do the deliveries as well, but I would sit there at the computer and I would listen to music and get things together and then take phone calls. And I remember I was listening to the alarm comp playlist. I had put it all on one CDR and I was listening to it on the desktop, and the Brokedowns came on with Brains. We went from whatever was playing in the sequence before that to a very abrasive punk rock song. And I remember I was definitely a minority at that company, certainly on my floor. And I remember everybody there that was just giving me the eye, like, what the F are you listening to, dude? And it was kind of like that John Mayer skit with Questlove on Chappelle Show, where John Mayer goes into that barbershop and starts playing electric guitar solos, like classic rock, bluesy style, and everybody's like, yo, shut the up, man. So anyway, I just remembered that this band that I'm going to cover today, the Brokedowns, I'm wearing their shirt, and I've covered them twice in this series before. So I don't think I need to really go into any history. I've gone far back, farther than really you can find much on the band. But again, I will point you to episode 5 of Under the Radar, where I covered the Pirate Party EP, their 5-song EP. on CDR, which I don't think you can find any copies of that anywhere. And then further, the band went on to release Let the Disappointment Begin, as well as These Colors Don't Run, the musical as performed by the Brokedowns, which were both on Big Action Records. And then I recently covered the band's album New Brains for Everyone, as performed by the Brokedowns, released by Thick Records in 2007. So I believe that's where we're at in this series as far as the chronology is concerned. And I wanted to cover one more release by the band. Like I said, I love this band. I have a history with this band that goes way back. And I think that in some ways they're very lazy because they don't really tour or anything like that. They can't, they got families and all that stuff. But they're also very hardworking when it comes to their craft, which is just making splendid, abrasive punk rock music. And so today I'm going to cover a very rare release by the band that was released on CD in 2008. This is entitled 6 Songs. Cassette Deck Media was the record label that released this. I've covered their history in the past, so if you want more info on that, you can go back to these episodes on the screen and check out more info on Idiot Ego, Cassette Deck, and Ian's Party, for that matter. By the way, I will say, as I get into this release, the artwork, the sign is, I believe, supposed to be like a self-portrait of, I think it's Eric Grossman, but it might be somebody else. But the person that is holding up the sign that's behind it is actually Jim Miller of Cassette Deck and Idiot Ego and Ian's Party, the kind of brains behind a lot of it. So yeah, if you look at the artwork and you ever wondered, how is that thing standing up? Well, that's Jim Miller. This was recorded and engineered by Mr. Joe Gack, and I haven't covered any releases by Joe himself because Joe's a very talented dude. Not just as an engineer, but he's also been in some other bands. I used to play with his old band Campsite 20 when I was in Midwest Blue, and I think even Dorm Life played one time with Campsite 20. But after Campsite 20, Joe Gack started a band later called Meatwave. And that's a band that, unfortunately, I kind of missed the whole Meatwave era because I had moved from Chicago to New York, and that was when Meatwave got started. But it consisted of Joe, and it also consists of members of Truman and His Trophy, and I forget who else is in the band. It's a trio. They put out some records on Side One Dummy Records, and I believe even on Swami Records. So great band to check out. But Joe Gack, as I said, very talented engineer, really good at getting bands to sound authentically them, and raw, but still like a little bit more polished than some of the other work that was around the area at the time. And I would imagine that Joe is even better now at recording. But this release here, I believe it consisted of songs, I thought at least at one point, that were going to appear on a split with After Project. Now, I think I may be wrong about that because I think the band had a demo or like a self-produced EP for a little minute there, and those might have been the songs. And then they also did a split with The Arrivals around this time as well, a little bit before this, and those 3 songs could have been on the split too with After Project. So I can't vouch for which songs were to make this split with After Project. Just to set the historical record straight, they would have to answer that question for you if you were that curious, but I know that I've mentioned it in the past, and I just wanted to touch on it for a second. So this is the very first release in the Cassette Deck Media Conglomerate catalog. It's CDMC 01. And I got this for free from Jim Miller, a big stack of CDs back in 2008. I think I mentioned this before. He did a bunch of release shows where they would just give the CDs away with your ticket to the show, which was really generous at the time, I thought. But there was this shift going into the digital realm where physical media was dying very, very quickly at that point. And I think I talked a little bit about that at the end of the Alarm Comp episode. I also wrote a review for this in Feedback magazine, which I will read at the end of the episode. But this is my second favorite release by the Brokedowns personally. I think that they have killed it on a lot of their work. I mean, I've been following the band for a while, and I've got every one of their Red Scare albums except for their recent one. I believe it's called Maximum Khaki. I haven't got that one yet, and I look forward to checking that out soon. Came out earlier this year. So let us go ahead and get into the opening track off of this 6 songs EP. This first song is entitled The Best of Lee Greenwald. That one will get your blood pumping. What a great opener to this EP. Now, the second song I'm going to play off of here was actually recorded, like I said before, it was on a self-released, I think, CDR EP that the band put out when they went on tour. And so I believe this version is re-recorded. This song is entitled Asshole Jacket.
They're just an outfit, they're just a walking suit. The bottom line now, and not the attitude. Something new for now, the bullets up goes down. Don't make me wonder, what are you trying to run? You pay for it, how does it fit? To take the shoulders, to take the hands. You want restrictions, that shouldn't exist. You want to be wrong, try to make a fucking thing. You bought the asshole jacket, you bought the asshole jacket, you bought the asshole jacket, you bought the asshole jacket.
I love that song. I remember the first time I heard them perform that song, it was at the EWL house. I want to say it was maybe 2006, but I can't remember exactly. But I remember watching them in John Fawcett's basement. I remember laughing while they were playing it, and it cracked me up, the lyrics to that song. Okay, so this one right here is my personal favorite on this EP. This one, Mr. Eric Grossman sings on. He's the lead vocalist on this song. Usually John Balin is the lead vocalist of the band, and Eric kind of does backups. But this song is entitled Gitter-Dunification.
Everything that's sold to me, I pass it off as it's meant to be. That's the only way I
love the lyrics to that song, and I really like the part toward the end. I think it's on the second verse of the song where there's the la 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 la's, just all the backups that are going on it. And then the way that the song ends with
World
being in that monster voice always cracked me up. But yeah, my personal favorite off this release. I'm gonna play one more song off of here, and this is a cover song. This is a cover song by the band
The Reverse.
If you don't know who
The Reverse
is,
The Reverse
consists of Doug Ward as well as other members. But Douglas C. Ward, I've talked about him in the past. He does a lot of mixing and mastering on releases. I think he also did engineering as well. But he's been in a lot of different bands.
The Reverse
Put out, I believe, originally they had a demo tape, and then they had a record that they put out on Underdog Records, which this song is the first track off of that release. And this song is entitled Clinical Rock.
Clinical rock! It's from me apart, and I see it somewhere, but everyone can. So first swing, shaking the Lord, thinking everything's good, then we never left. Now! Moderate rock! It's a second long day. You play a piece of beer, never give it anything. Give me a cry! I hear how we change in this civilized. What? Clinical rock! It's coming apart, and I need to wear, but everyone's a guy. Forget it!
Fantastic job at covering that song by
The Reverse.
Again, to talk a little bit more about
The Reverse.
they also had a collection of all of their recordings that were put out on one release. It was co-released by Johann's Face Records and Arms Reach Recordings, which is similar to what I did with the Sides collection by Midwest Blue, was Johann's Face and Alarm Clock. I always enjoyed that when labels would kind of team up together and split the costs and co-promote it, you know. But just a little bit more info. I feel like I have to document this also.
The Reverse
Had members that went on to be in 97 Shiki and the Vindictives and Kill Sadie, which that's a band that they're a Midwestern band. They're not a Chicago band. They're from Minneapolis. But Kill Sadie is one of those bands that I feel like they don't get enough recognition for their family tree. Like they're probably like another like Minneapolis version of Slapstick in a way, because I think members went on to form some really big bands, as well as just it had a revolving cast of members from other bands. And I believe that there were members of Animal Chin in it and the Stereo. Like I want to say maybe there were members of Botch, but I certainly can say that Minus the Bear, the drummer of Minus the Bear, was in Kill Sadie. These Arms Are Snakes and Pretty Girls Make Graves. These bands kind of came out of Kill Sadie, and I just wanted to make sure I gave them their roses, because they're definitely an influential band that doesn't get mentioned enough. All right, so as I said at the beginning, I'm going to read a review. I did review 2 cassette deck releases. I know I talked about this because I covered Unlucky by Vacation Bible School in the past, and I read that review, which is side by side with this review for 6 songs. So here's what I said. The Brokedowns 6-song CD EP, Cassette Deck Media. I was first introduced to the Brokedowns in April of 2000 at a show I went to see at the Warp Skate Park in Woodstock, Illinois. I was attending a Super 18 show, and the Brokedowns were opening. I was won over by their live show and immediately spent $5 to purchase their debut EP released on the Pirate Party. I remember meeting Johnny B at the merch booth, and I believe his girlfriend, now his wife, sold it to me. Anyhow, I recall jamming that CD in my car on the regular for a solid few months and introducing some of my friends at school to them. So 3 full-length albums, a couple 7-inches, countless tours, playing with close to every credible punk act out there, and nearly a decade later, we have 6 songs, CD EP. Their last full-length, New Brains for Everyone, blew me away, and this EP is nothing short of impressive. clocking in at a grand total of about 12 minutes. These 6 songs are what punk rock is lacking these days, with titles such as Asshole Jacket, Get Identification, and The Bra of Iran. The Brokedowns have managed to keep a humorous yet conscious identity to their music. I will admit, when reviewing material, I am first prone to judge the melodies, but there is nothing like well thought out lyrics that offer substance as the cherry on top. I want to relearn my ABCs. I'm feeling leery of the way that they were taught to me. Let's start at the 1, 2, 3s and tie a yellow ribbon around another dead tree. Even more impressive is that these songs are raw, gritty, honest recordings that manage to stick in my head and sound natural. No preservatives, no overproduction, no bullshit. Slapstick put Elgin on the map, and I'm pretty sure the Brokedowns are the best thing I've heard out of that suburb since 1996. Some bands come before their time, and mark my words, even if they don't sign to a big label that will get them noticed on a larger scale, the Brokedowns will be that band Fat Mike wishes he signed. Well, maybe that last part was a little ballsy of me to say, but it's funny that I said that because they signed to Red Scare, which is owned by Toby Jeg of Fat Records. In some way, they probably have distribution through Fat Records, and I guess I wasn't too far off, even though it sounded gutsy at the time to say that. Now, what I like to say next is, I don't know, I've just been dying to hear all of the Brokedowns material, all the stuff that wasn't on the albums. Like this right here, this is a banger release, and I think they're probably only 1,000 pressed of this, right? But they've done countless 7-inches. So right now, I'd like to kind of have a little call to action, if you will. I'm going to go through all of the band's obscure 7-inch releases, compilation tracks, stuff that could go on one collection, right? Just one compilation of all the B-sides, if you will. There's some really good collections out there. I've talked about collections in the past. I covered a little bit about, like, I think in the Spitalfield episode when I covered their EP, they had something where it was similar like that. Bands like Alkaline Trio have, that's one of my go-tos as far as B-sides, as well as the Jimmy Eat World B-sides. It's almost like an album, but it wasn't intended to be an album. It's a bunch of obscure songs compiled together. So if I was to compare what I'm thinking in my head, at least, I would say it's comparable to NoFX's 45 or 46 songs that weren't good enough to go on our other records. That would be a great comparison to what's going on in my mind right now. Because the Brokedowns, as I said, this clocks in at a little under 12 minutes in length. Very short songs, right? It's short punk rock, very to the point. So you could probably fit it all in one disc or one record. It'd probably end up having to be a double vinyl record, I would think, though. So anyhow, however it would be done, here's what I'm presenting to you, okay? Let's get into all the songs that the Brokedowns have put out on split 7-inches and compilations that were not included on any of their 7 full-length records at this point. One, we know that there are 6 songs right here, obviously, on the Cassette Deck Media released 6 songs. But then they did a split prior to this with the Arrivals on 1, 2, 3, 4 Go records that had 3 songs on it. The songs Stop Snitchin', This TV Runs on Diesel, and Head Lice. And then in 2008, the band did a split with Sass Dragons on Cassette Deck Media with the songs Who Let the Dicks Out, Viking Birthday Party, and Full On Idol. And then in 2009, the band did 2 split 7-inches. One of them was with Turkish Techno on Traffic Records, had 2 songs by them entitled That's a Bummer Man and Shit Covered in Glitter. The other split in 2009 was with the Copyrights on No Idea Records, which is badass because I always felt like the Brokedowns really fit in with the No Idea punk sound big time. They had 2 songs on the Copyright split, a song called A People's History of the Ironic Haircut, and Friendship again. Furthermore, in 2009, the Brokedowns were included on the Half-Assed Chicago compilation released by Johann's Face Records with an obscure song entitled Side B, Song 5 on the first Doors album. Hilarious. After that, in 2012, the band did a split 7-inch with Wide Angles on Cassette Deck Media. They had 3 songs on the split. The songs Crime Still Pays, Beast Resources 4, and Beast Resources 5. And to follow that up, they did 2 split 7-inches again in 2013, one with Vacation Bible School, who I've mentioned in the past, on It's Alive Records with 3 songs entitled This Future Sucks, Sean, Bless This Shit, and The Same Mistakes Endlessly Repeated on Repeat. The other 7-inch they released in 2013 was with The Slow Death on Red Scare, and the 3 songs that they had included on there were No Mestura, Hand Me Down Bones, and The Slow Witness. And then in 2015, they did a 7-inch. It was a 4-way split entitled B-Sides. It had a bunch of bands on it. I believe that Boxletter, which is ex-Johnny Bodacious and the Bad Attitudes, who I've mentioned in the past, and ex-I Know Mike Newman, who would be included in the very first episode of Under the Radar. Anyhow, there were 4 bands on there that all started with B, so they called it B-Sides. This 4-way split was released on Rad Girlfriend Records, and the B-side they included was entitled Still Pretend. Also in 2015, Red Scare put out their first compilation, their 10-year anniversary as a label, so they have been doing this series every 5 years that the Brokedowns have been included on. So in 2015, on Red Scare 10, the Brokedowns song included is Ouija Jive. And then in 2016, the Brokedowns put out yet another 7-inch with direct hit Fat Records Band and Red Scare Band. The 3 songs that the Brokedowns included on it were entitled King of the Dust, Crowns and Gowns, and Run in the Front. And then to just backtrack for a second, the band in 2004, in addition to having that self-released like tour EP that they did that had the original version of Asshole Jacket on it, as I talked about before, there were those 4 songs, but there's also another B-side that ended up on the Quincy Shanks Sampler number 5 CD, and that song was entitled When It Rains It Pours. Furthermore, in 2020, again, Red Scare released another one of those 5-year, compilations. It was the Red Scare 15, and included the song by the Brokedowns, Thinking with the Lights On. And then just this year, Red Scare 20 came out, and the Brokedowns included a song entitled Cool Ranch on there. So all those songs together, along with the 4 songs that were on that self-release demo, if you put all those together as a B-sides collection, right? And I'm just coming up with a rough spitball idea here, but you could call it something like, I don't know, B-sides as performed by the Brokedowns. That seems fitting. Certainly for this era of the band. That would be just under 40 songs if you included those songs off that demo as well. Plus the band, if you really wanted to tip the scales and go over 40, you could include like the original OG Pirate Party EP and the cassette, but I don't see the need in doing something like that. Gosh, I would find that to be quite an enjoyable listen, to just get all those songs on one CD and or LP. I would really enjoy that. So I am just sending that out there. Yo, Red Scare, Brokedowns, get on that. Or somebody. I mean, shoot, if I had some extra money, I might really think about doing something like that on my label, because I really like that band a lot. Love that band. Shouldn't say like. Boy, that would be cool. I also wanted to mention a couple other cassette deck releases. A band also that you should check out is called Bust. Really like them. I didn't find time to cover them in this series because I was trying to keep it all under 100, episodes. And so check out Fuck City by Bust and some of their other releases on Discogs. Then there's this great band that I don't think enough people know about. They are called Vice Lords. This is like a super band featuring Todd Pott of Apocalypse Hoboken on vocals, and all of the Brokedowns and members of Vacation Bible School. And first time I ever watched this band perform, I saw them at the very first Ian's Party at Clearwater Theater, which, by the way, I'll have to mention that again coming up on the Jam Dreams episode for Dr. Manhattan, because I remember Matt Engers on rollerblades at that show on the stage, at that big old high stage at Clearwater Theater. And then the Brokedowns, they set up to play a Vice Lord set in like the corner in the audience. Like they had like 2 separate areas where you'd play. But I watched this band play and I was so impressed with them. I was really, really taken back by how good they were. So check out I Christened the Vice Lords. It's an amazing record, also recorded by Mr. Joe Gack of Meatwave. Also, to be said, if hypothetically the B-sides as performed by the Brokedowns were to ever come out, going back to the alarm comp episode, if I would have pulled off that alarm comp, man, having that Snowball cover by AC/DC, like of the Brokedowns doing that, gosh, I would have loved to hear that. And that could have made the B-sides collection as well, if that was to happen. Darn it. Should have stuck to my guns and followed through on that project and not gave up. But anyhow, that's about all I've got on this release here. Again, shout outs to Johnny B and to Chris Medjary and to Mustafa, Eric Grossman. Love you guys. Love this band. This is the last time I'll be covering the Brokedowns in this series, but I would really like to hear that B-sides record. And if you get a chance, go on Discogs, find yourself a copy of this, because these songs are bad mamma jammas.
Man! Hey! Cece, what am I holding in my hand? Man, that's a mushroom! You don't know shit, Cece! How you gonna make a pizza?
And in other news, I am just kind of gearing up to do some traveling, work on the red tape a little bit more, again, developing businesses, possibly relocating, and yeah, just a lot of different things in the future. Check out embracismcoaching.com if you need help, and also go to samswansonmusic.com/store and feel free to buy merch. I totally appreciate it. I'm trying to get rid of stuff and downsize, so man, I will give you, order one item, I will throw in a bunch more. I promise you that. You will get more than your money's worth. Everything's already discounted pretty severely. So yeah, again, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays to you. I will be back soon with another episode, and thank you for your time.